real quick? What a great crowd. It is now 6:30 and welcome to our February council meeting. Let's go ahead and stand up. And Wendy Jones, she is the pastor of Orchard Church. And by the way, the city's partnering with Orchard Church. March 7th, we're going to have a community cleanup. So thank you so much, Wendy and Orchard Church, for keeping our city clean. So go ahead, Wendy.
Let's pray. Merciful and gracious God, we give you thanks for all the ways in which you remind us of your love and your goodness. Thank you for the gift it is to live in community surrounded by people who care for one another. Thank you for the leaders of this community who give up their time and their resources, their expertise, and their wisdom to lead us. God, as we meet together tonight, I pray that you would give us kindness, that you would give us patience, that you would help us to be quick to listen and slow to speak, that we would learn from one another, that we would lean in toward one another, and God, that together you would give us wisdom and discernment for every decision that would be made. Oh God, help us to love well, so that Christ might be seen in us, and so that we might reflect to the world what love looks like, even when there's disagreement. Help us, God, to do this well, and as we do so, God, we ask for your help in the name of Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much, Pastor Wendy Jones. Let's go ahead and face the flag, hand over your hearts. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, you may be seated. Again, thank you so much, Pastor Wendy Jones from Orchard Church here off Highway 81 in Loganville. Before we get started with the adoption of the agenda, after the meeting, after I adjourn, we will have the community feedback. But before that, we're going to go to executive session for about 5 minutes. So we'll be right back, and we're going to stick around to listen to all your questions and concerns. But this is an executive session to talk about real estate matters, okay? All right, with that being said, we're going to go ahead and I'm going to, we got the call the meeting to order, and we're going to ask for a motion to adopt the agenda. We have a motion.
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion? So all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. The agenda has been adopted. Now these are items that we talked about at the consent on Monday night, and these are some consent agenda. And I'm going to ask for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
We have a motion. We have a second. Any discussion on the consent agenda? Any discussion out there about the consent agenda? No? So all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. All right, consent agenda has been passed. Now we're going down. I have a proclamation from Gwinnett Census, and I'm going to go ahead and read it out loud real quick. This is, as you know, 2020 is right around the corner. It's already here, and we are complete count committee, so we are in the census. I'm going to go ahead and read a proclamation from Gwinnett Counts. So making sure Gwinnett counts in the 2020 census. Whereas the city of Loganville recognizes the equal importance of each resident in the 2020 census count, and where census data guides local decision makers in important community planning efforts, including locations for school, housing, roads, hospital, public transportation, child care centers, and senior centers, and whereas more than 675 billion in federal funds are awarded annually to states and communities based on census data, and whereas an accurate census count is required for the proper allocation of representatives for the legislative bodies of the U.S. House of Representatives and Georgia State Legislature, and is used in the redistricting of state and county voting districts. And whereas the information collected by the census is confidential and protected by law. And whereas a cross-section of community members, including representatives from educational, business, faith-based, and multicultural organizations, will use their local expertise to raise awareness and encourage census participation in all areas of our community. Now therefore, I, Mayor Ray Martinez, on behalf of the city of Loganville, do hereby encourage all residents to complete this census as we strive to count every resident once, only once, and in the right place on Census Day, April 2020. Signed this 13th day of February of 2020, Mayor Loganville Ray Martinez. You guys got to know. I want you guys to sign up for census and be counted. All right, that is my proclamation. Now we're going to come down to the police presentation. All right, police department presentation. Jay Bolden, Public Safety Committee Chair.
Thank you, Mayor. Ladies and gentlemen, I had this planned to have this presentation tonight. I was going to do it last month, but we had swearing in for the new council members, and the mayor graciously moved his State of the City address from tonight until next month. So I want to introduce Police Chief Mike McHugh, Assistant Chief Dick Lowry, who will be leading this presentation. And I want to thank y'all for coming. I know you're fired up, you're anxious to get to that microphone and speak, but give these guys 20 minutes or so, you're going to really enjoy this presentation. Thank you. I love you guys.
All right, this is a presentation we put together. Every month we have, on the retirement community, a monthly meeting they call the Triad or the SALT Triad, seniors and law enforcement together. The senior citizens, we give them a report, exchange information, and answer any questions they might have, fire department, police department, city council, and so on. And each month, there is a presenter that does a presentation for the group. And this was our presentation a couple of months ago, and Mr. Bowling, the mayor, asked me if I would do it here tonight, so here we go. So I'm gonna start with a video that I didn't create it, I take no credit for it, but whoever did do it, I assure you has family or something in law enforcement. And it's a video that was done in support of law enforcement, which we don't always see these days. But it's very well done, and I want to start with that because we know, compared to our peers in other communities, we enjoy extraordinary community support here in Loganville, and we know that. Not a day goes by that we don't walk into a restaurant at lunch or meet people at Walmart or whatever it is, and they walk up to us and shake our hand and say, "Look, I just want you to know we appreciate what you do." And I know that seems like a very small token, but it means a whole lot to these guys. I assure you it does. So,
Dear officer, I want you to know that I see you. I see you choose the booth at the restaurant that allows you to have your back against the wall. I see you pulled over 2 hours past your shift as you finish your reports under a streetlight. I see you as you direct traffic in the scorching heat, the gusting snow, and the downpour of rain. I see you as you watch mainstream media crucify your character while minimizing your cause. I see that you are tired, frustrated, and misunderstood. I see that you are hurting as the world watches you bury your brothers and sisters that died because they were guilty of one thing, wearing a uniform and a badge. I see you. I see that you are flesh and bones just like me. I see your cause, and I want you to know that I appreciate it. I hear you. I hear the sound of the garage door open after a long night of consistent tragedy. I hear the sounds of your heavy footsteps, and I can instantly tell what kind of day it's been for you. I hear the sound of your duty belt hit the kitchen table as you relieve your back from the 30 extra pounds you've been carrying all day. I recognize the sound of Velcro as you unstrap your body armor and your work boots. I hear the sound of your little boy's bedroom door open as you enter his room. I hear the sound of you kissing his cheek and whispering that you love him. I hear the sound of your heartbeat as you choose not to share your day because you know that it will only scare you. And even though you do not speak, I still hear you. I still know that something happened on your shift that is broken your heart. I feel you. I feel the difference in the way you hug me before you leave to go to the grocery store, and the way you hug me before you leave for one more night on your beat. I feel the grip of your hand as they wheel you back to surgery to fix an injury you have sustained on the job. I feel the wetness of your tears as you try to make sense of the tiny life that was taken by the hands of her parents. I feel the sigh of relief when you see your little boy running towards you after you've experienced too much darkness in the world. I feel the sinking of your morale as you watch a very vocal and sparse opposition flood social media with their misplaced passion for their idea of justice. I feel the way you look at me as you read that one more of your brothers or sisters have fallen victim to the hate crime. We both know it could have been you. I need you. We need you. I know the world is making you feel like the only allies you have can be found in each other. I know that it is becoming increasingly more difficult for you to put your life on the line for a world that has seemingly turned their backs on you. But I also know that that won't stop you. What the world seems to forget is that you don't suit up every day for their approval. God knows you don't do it for the money. You do it because it's your calling. You do it because you believe that you can help goodness persevere in the face of evil. You've chosen to be a warrior. And warriors don't hang up their hats because of the opinion of someone else. I wish I knew how to fix it. The only thing I know how to do is support you. I'm aware that there isn't a magic solution that will make the world see you for who you are. I just want you to know that I see you. I need you to know that you are appreciated by a vast majority who is in your corner. You are honorable. You are courageous. You are worthy of a nation's support. We see you. We hear you. We love you. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your sacrifice. Thank you for getting up one more day to protect my family. You are undeniably my heroes.
So we're going to talk about a few things tonight, and to be perfectly honest with you, it's a little different than what we do, because some things that we deal with kind of behind the scenes, so to speak, we don't really bring to your attention, because that's our job. We deal with it, we do what we need to do. But I hope by doing it, maybe it will help you understand maybe a little more of why we do some things the way we do. So right now, one of the biggest problems that we face as a profession is recruiting and retention. It is getting extremely difficult to find good, qualified police officers. Now, I'll tell you, just as an example, to give you an idea here. When I first came to Loganville from the sheriff's office in 2006, and we had one open police officer position, we would get between 150 and 200 applications. We could be very selective in those. Now, and Christian, personnel officer for the city, will attest to this, when we post an open police officer position, we may go 3 weeks or a month and not even get an application. right or wrong. And sometimes, the ones we get, really not the kind of folks we're looking for to be out here working for you in the community. To give you an example of that, we, of course, have to do the basic city application, and then there's a background application that's about that thick that has to fill out. One of the questions on that is, are you a natural-born U.S. citizen? Now, the reason for that question is, in order to be a certified police officer, you have to be a U.S. citizen. So, we got this application in, and this young man checked no, and then in parentheses, up under it, wrote cesarean section. So, we decided we probably wasn't gonna bring that guy. But our traditional methods of recruiting are just not working anymore. And if you see on, whether it's social media, in the newspaper, magazines, whatever it may be, you'll see that the pictures and the videos they post are a little different now than what they used to be, because we're trying to attract a different generation of folks to come in and take over for us down the road. So, in 2018, there was a study done, and it said that 71% of all youth between the ages of 17 and 24 would be ineligible to enlist in our military due to psychological issues, drug use, things like that. That's sad, y'all. That's sad. But here's the key to that. We're trying to recruit from that same labor pool. And it's difficult. We're having a hard time. And it's not just here in Loganville. It's nationwide. There are thousands upon thousands of openings. To give you an example, a good friend of mine and the chief, he was the police chief down in Social Circle, Tyrone Oliver. I don't know if any of y'all ever met him, but a genuinely great man. And the governor tapped him on 24 hours notice to take over the Georgia Department of Juvenile Justice, okay? When he got there, one of the first questions he asked, how many openings we got? And he told me, he said, nobody said nothing. Well, maybe they didn't hear me. How many openings do we have? And looking at the floor, they said, sir, we have 1,200. How you gonna hire that many people, y'all? So it's a real problem in our profession right now. So the things we tell them about to bring them in here, we tell them about the salary, the benefits, health insurance, retirement and pension, take-home car program, which you've got to provide because everybody else does. Y'all live here in this community, you see the Cobb County cars and all kinds of things. We have to be able to match that. And we do, and there's restrictions on how far they can drive and that kind of thing. Overtime and holiday pay. We give our guys on night shift, they get a 25 cent an hour differential for being on night shift. But two of the real things that we use is telling them the type of community support we have here in Loganville. And that matters to these folks. Okay, a lot of them have worked in other places where that's just not the case. And then when they come here and they see that you guys support what they're trying to do, that really makes a difference to them. The camaraderie is a big deal. Now, I'll tell you, one of the best places for us to get people referred to come to work for us is from officers that we already have. Because that officer's not going to recommend somebody to come work for him or work with him that he's not sure of. And that's we stress that. So the happier our guys are, and the more support they have from the city council, from the city manager, from you guys, from us, the more likely they are to recommend people to come in here and work with us, and that's what happens. Some things we don't say as a rule. Police divorce rates are about at least 70%. Really, really high. It's higher than any other profession I've been able to find out. And that's due to a lot of factors. We can spend all night talking about that. Diabetes and heart disease are epidemic in law enforcement. I stand here telling you I know that because I've caught diabetes. I don't know how you catch it, but I did. Cancer, yeah, the donuts, that's what. Although I don't generally eat donuts in public. Don't let nobody fool you, I will eat donuts. Cancer rates are very high. A police officer's average life expectancy, if he makes a career of this, will be reduced by as much as 21 years. That's terrible. The average police officer who works to retirement will die within 5 years of that day. That's true. That's nationwide statistics. Okay? You will almost certainly develop cumulative post-traumatic stress disorder. And I really don't like that term disorder. Disorder is something you're born with. It's a post-traumatic stress injury. It's something that happened to you. I'm going to hit on that a little bit more later, but does anybody know how many traumatic events are required to have happened to you for a diagnosis of post-traumatic stress?
One.
Just one. Just one. Over a 30-year career, how many you think these officers have had? Way too many. Way too many. So many that sometimes when we all get together and talk, and you know we talk in code, so nobody else knows what in the world we're talking about, right? But they say, hey, you remember when that happened? Man, I don't even remember it. And it should be memorable, but we block it. We block it. And that's part of the problem. I'm going to hit on that in a few minutes. The reason why it's stress. Well, where is this stress? We know that law enforcement is a stressful thing, okay? Well, some of that stress comes from the police administration, from me and the chief, from saying this is what we need you to do, this, and from their lieutenants, and they're pushing them to do these things, right? It can come from, not really here, but some agencies, and I have worked at some, where somebody makes an arbitrary rule or policy change, and everybody, except the person who had the authority to make that change, was, why? And that creates stress. There's a lot of stress right now and pressure from the media. Okay, now I'll say this because I saw Sharon somewhere back there in the back. The media in our area has honestly been very fair with us. Okay, the Atlanta media, not always true. What if you're trying to create a news show? What are you going to do to make people tune in and watch it?
Report bad news.
Yeah, report bad news. Controversy sells, right? No, if it was all good news, we wouldn't even turn it on, right? And the more people that watch, they keep up with those numbers. And what does that do when they try to sell ads on that television station? It goes through the roof. You don't think so about the number of people to try to buy you a Super Bowl ad, right? So that matters. Social media is a big deal. And look, my wife is here and she'll tell you, I don't quite understand Facebook. I've got a master's degree and I just don't quite get it. So, but here's the thing. Now I'll tell you this. I won't tell you I don't have a Facebook account. I do. But if you try to look up Dick Lowry, you're not going to find it. But if you put in Fred Jones, that's me. All right, I'm 94 years old on Facebook. I speak Swahili and Kirundi, and the only thing I follow are 2 crappie fishing pages. That's it. All right, but I gotta have an account so I can keep up with my crappie fishing. So But here's the thing about social media, and I know probably everybody but me does social media, but here's the thing about it. You have to keep in mind, there is a big difference between right to know and want to know, okay? Now, a lot of information that we take in law enforcement is just not publicly releasable until certain criteria are met. I didn't make the rules, it's the law, right? It's the law. After a certain period of time, you can get everything we got. I assure you, the 500 plus, or correct, 500 something open records requests we get every month will attest to that. Okay? Over 500 a month that we do. So, but here's the thing, y'all. We cannot make law enforcement decisions based on opinions on social media. Can't do it. Can't do it. I'll give you an example, okay? Y'all remember here a while back when we had the pharmacy student went missing and unfortunately ended up being found later, passed away. We knew almost immediately what was going on. But can we put that out? No, we can't do that. Not only for legal ramifications, but who do we really at that point owe a duty to? To his family. To do everything we can to be able to say with certainty, this is what happened to your child, to your brother. That's who we're working for at that point, okay? So that has impacted us. The loss of public trust. Now let me tell you whose fault that is. I talked to a lot of police officers, cops and things like that, and I'll be honest with you, they want to blame the media for it. Plays in about that big. You know whose fault it is? It's law enforcement's fault as a profession. It's our fault. Because we've had too many people in command positions for too long that are unwilling to look somebody in the face and say, you can't do this for a living. You gotta be able to do it. It hurts. I've had to look at people that, I ran the SWAT team at the county for a while before I came up here, that were my SWAT guys, that I've done in excess of 300 entries with. And they did something really stupid, and I said, you can't work here anymore. You can come sleep on my couch and eat dinner, but you can't work here. It's been too long of that, generations of that. And let me tell you, when I started out, when I was a young pup in this business, here's what was done. If an officer made a significant mistake, a problem, whatever it might be, that was likely to result in him being terminated. Now, we work for the government. So if you get terminated, there's an appeals process, right? In the agency, in the Danny, and so on and so forth. There's a process. To avoid all that, here's what they would do. Say, look, Kyle, you know I love you. If you just resign, if anybody calls for a reference, we'll say it was a resignation for personal reasons, and we won't report it to the Peace Officer Standard and Training Council. That's who gives us our certificate. Well, what's he likely to do? He's going to go to another agency, and he's going to be all right for a little while, and then what's going to happen? The same thing. And I assure you, some of these officers that you see on the news, not just around, but from all over the country, that happened to them. I promise you that. And I made up my mind 20-something years ago, when I'm in a position to not do that, I won't do it, and I never have, and I'm not going to. This job is not for everybody, y'all. It's just not, okay? And we gotta be willing to face it. The fight, flight, or freeze reflex, that's a stressful thing. Now, where that comes in at is human beings, we all have certain built-in warning signals, right? So, for example, if I come over here while I'm talking and stand right here next to her, now she knows I'm not gonna hurt her. But is it making her uncomfortable right now? Y'all want me to stand here how long before she moves? See how long it takes, right? But it makes her uncomfortable. Why? Because warning signals are saying he's too close to me. I can't react. You ever get in an elevator and somebody gets too close to you in the elevator? It makes you uncomfortable, right? The men in the room will understand this. When you go into a public restroom and there's 3 urinals, which ones are available? Number 1, number 3. Don't get on number 2, right? That's the way it works, okay? So this fight, flight, or freeze is similar to that. So as human beings, when we're confronted with a problem, okay, something that's scaring us, right? We're going to do one of those 3 things or a combination of it. We're going to immediately turn to face that danger, and what happens to your hands automatically? You ball a fist. It happens automatically. You ain't got to think about it. It happens, right? Or you flee, run away, or you freeze and lock up. If you don't think that, everybody in here, because we live in Georgia, has been coming down the road and encountered a deer and went, oh no, but what's the deer do? Sometimes they run away, sometimes they freeze and look right at you as you hit them, right? It's the same thing. So our bodies want to be like right here. That's homeostasis. Everything's low. But when we respond to terrible and dangerous situations, in order to help us deal with that, the brain says we need some adrenaline going here. And it dumps adrenaline in your system. So what happens now, you're jacked up way up here. Your heart rate increases, right? Blood flow changes, all those things. It makes things happen like tunnel vision. Y'all heard people talk about it. Tunnel vision. You can't control it. It's there. We train to overcome it when we go to the firing range by making our guys look left and look right to break that tunnel vision. It also causes things like auditory exclusion. If we go out here in the parking lot and shoot my pistol off, is it gonna make your ears ring? Yeah, 100%, right? But here's what happens when we're faced, let's say we're involved, we have to fire a weapon in the line of duty, your ears don't ring. I don't understand it, I'm not a doctor, but I'm telling you that's what happens. It's still doing damage, but your ears don't ring. So all those things happen. So we're way up here outside homeostasis. Now, everybody in here has got what I like to call shaking and crying mad, at least once in their life, right? Well, when you calm down from that, what is one thing that you want to do? What's your body want to do? Go to sleep. Go to sleep. But they can't go to sleep. They got 11 more hours on their shift. So it takes a little while, and that takes a toll on the body. It has a lot to do with the heart disease and the diabetes and all these things. Sleep disruption. We work 12-hour shifts. If you don't have to go to court, if you don't have to babysit your children, if you don't have to work a second job, all those things, that takes a toll on them too. And if I don't call and wake you up and say, hey, how come you didn't finish this report before you went home? All those things play into that, right? Exposure to violence and suffering. That varies, obviously, from depending on where you work, but just using myself as an example, I've been to plane crashes. I've responded when a guy was run over by a train. Imagine what that looks like. Fatality car accidents involving children. All those kind of things. And we have to block that out because we got a job to do. We have to block it out and push it way down in here, and it builds and builds, and eventually it's going to come out. Just like if you got something that's aggravating you about somebody you work with, eventually that's going to come out the same way with his office. And there's a stressful guy, 39 years old. All right, so here's what we're asking these officers to to be. It's a triad. We need them to be scholars, statesmen, and warriors. Now, on the scholar part of it, now, let me tell you, as far as scholars, what's required. Our policy manual for Loganville Police Department is 708 pages long. 708 pages. The Georgia Code Book is about 3 times the size of King James Bible. Okay? Plus, they got to remember court decisions which change all the time. Right? Because that impact, all these things, they've got to be scholars. Within the Loganville Police Department, we have 6 master's degrees, 9 bachelors, 1 associates, and 2 more guys working on their degrees. That's a good thing. I want sharp, intelligent people making life and death decisions, don't you? Yeah. Training items, and I don't know how well y'all see it, but I know it's not real big. But this last year, 2019, we had a cumulative total of 2,665 training hours, which averages out 86 hours a person. The state of Georgia requires us to have 20. That's not very much, okay? And just as a really quick aside, up until 4 years ago, do you know how often that the Peace Officer Standard Training Council required police officers to requalify with their weapons after the police academy? Never. State requirement, never. Now, every agency I've ever been around required it, okay? But there was no state requirement. Now that changed, and I can't even explain why it took that long to change, but it did. Training wise, we've spent most of this week. We purchased out of seized federal drug money. Thank you to our drug dealers. I think they're out here selling drugs, but we're gonna take their money away as long as they do it. But we bought one of these simulator systems. Y'all all seen them on TV and that kind of thing. It's use of force decision making. And we bought one, had it installed, and we're gonna start training our officers with it. It's better for them, it's better for you in the community, it's better for the bad guy. Because let me tell you, the mechanics of teaching somebody to be a good shooter are really not that hard to do. They're really not that hard to do. What is difficult is teaching them to make that decision that fast. That takes a lot of effort and a lot of time, and we work on that very diligently. Stations, they gotta be a diplomat, because they're gonna talk to difficult people. As the chief likes to say a lot of times, most of the people that we deal with day in, day out, don't necessarily respond well to thank you in police. And that's true, okay? They're gonna be a counselor. I assure you, in 26 years, I've done as much marriage counseling as nearly about anybody you're gonna find within 10 miles down here right now, okay? And here's the thing to keep in mind. When things are going well at home, it does not require police intervention. At the point you had to call the police to come, you probably better be thinking about doing something different, because it's not gonna get better. It's just not. And we do certain things, we try to do as much as we can in the community. We talked about the triad earlier. We got involved a few years ago with Miss Janice and Mr. Harold in the Special Olympics. And we hold a 5K run every year, and the last 4 or 5 years, we've been at $10,000 or a little more that we've been able to contribute to them. And we do the Shop with a Hero every year before Christmas with some kids at Walmart. A lot of different things like that. The picture in the middle, of course, y'all know already, I'm a fishing guy. We took some kids fishing over at the park. Now, they didn't know there ain't no fish in there. If there are, I can't prove it. So here's the one sometimes that's controversial. The title of warrior as applied to police officers. Do you really want warriors in your community?
You're gonna be
It's
fighting that.
dependent, right? It's dependent. So What we really want to see is guys like this, coming through our neighborhoods at Walmart, restaurants, coming by the house, all these things. They're nice, they're friendly, they're outgoing, all those kind of things. What we don't want to see is these guys with machine guns and helmets and rifle-rated vests and all those things. We don't want to see that, right? Well, here's a little secret for you. They're the same guys. They're the same guys. When I ran the SWAT team at Walton County, I was a training officer at the time, the training captain, and I had 16 guys, SWAT guys. I had patrol officers, I had criminal investigators, I had school resource officers, and court security people. And this is a side job for them, basically, okay? They gotta be able to wear more than one hat, and it's not always easy to do. So, this guy here, this is Officer Friend. This is the guy that we want talking to our kids and giving out patches and stickers and all those things. But, in the middle of the night, might be your wife, your daughter, your granddaughter, whatever it is, but she's home alone. And she's upstairs in her bedroom, and she hears glass break downstairs. And she gets up to see what that is, and as she comes around the corner of the stairs, she sees this guy come through the door. And the first thing he does is he comes into the kitchen and reaches over and gets an 8-inch butcher knife. She's terrified. Couldn't be more scared. She runs back upstairs and calls 911, locks herself in the bedroom, locks herself in the bathroom. And he comes through the door. And now he's at the bathroom door. And the officers are on the way. They're coming as hard as they can go. And he's ramming that knife through the door. Over and over and over. And she knows what's going to happen if he gets through that door. And I submit to you folks, it's not officer friendly she needs right now. She needs that guy. She needs that guy. That's who's coming. Despite what our mamas told us, and what I learned in Sunday school across the street over there, the only way to combat violence, y'all, is with good men who are equally skilled in violence. I'm sorry that that's the case, but it is. That's it. That's all we do. So we go from that, and now they got to drop back down and be officer friendly again. Because this happened at 11 o'clock. They don't get off till 6 o'clock in the morning. They're going to deal with other calls. They may leave that call and come to somebody's house who's complaining because their neighbor keeps putting their garbage can 6 feet too far this way. Y'all think we don't call the police about that? I'm telling you they do. So, here's what we're asking you to do. Make life and death decisions all the time. We're taking a 25-year-old guy, giving him basic training, and we'll send him out in the street, and he has the legal authority that a judge doesn't have, that a prosecutor doesn't have, that nobody else has, to decide on his own merits, to deprive somebody of the number one thing we cherish in this country, and that's our freedom. He can decide to put that person in handcuffs and arrest him. And as Spider-Man's Uncle Ben said in the first Spider-Man movie, which is still the best one, I don't care what nobody says, with great power comes great responsibility. And I tell people when they come to work for us, I call it my grown man speech. We're going to treat you like a grown man. You're going to walk around our community wearing a gun for everybody to see. We're going to give you a car with lights and siren, and it'll run 148 miles an hour. And I'm going to trust you not to do that when you're on the way to go use the bathroom. But in return for that trust, I expect grown man behavior. Right? And that's what we do. These guys can't ever be wrong. Think about that. They cannot ever be wrong. They can't. They can't be slow, and they can't be hesitant. Hesitation is what gets people killed in this business, right? So now this is the audience participation part, all right? Y'all know you're gonna have to do that, do you? So here's the deal. Y'all are the officer. This guy is a suspicious person who's been looking in cars in neighborhoods. We never heard of that happening, right? So now you've responded. You're the officer. So here's what I want you to do. At the point that you see something that would make you draw your gun, all I want you to do is holler out, now. Just like you won bingo down here at the American. You holler bingo. All right? All right. Now. Here we go. Ain't nobody holler. Hold on. Show it again, Cal. I don't think they were ready. Y'all ready to shot?
Yeah.
That's how fast it happens, y'all. That's a regular dude. We didn't bring in like an Olympic athlete to do that. That's a regular guy, right? And that's exactly what happened to Officer Thomas. Exactly what happened. They shot at him through the windshield. Wasn't an armed robbery call. Wasn't a shooting call. Suspicious car. They might be smoking weed. That was the call. And they shot him through the windshield, hit him in the knee. All right? No different with Officer Cooper down here in Cody with Matt. He responds to a shoplifting call at Walmart. He gets in a foot chase, and the guy literally does that. He don't aim, he don't look, he does that. And hit him right there. So how do I train them for that? How do I train them to react to that? Can't do it. And here's the awful secret. Sometimes bad things happen to good people. And we have to make these guys understand it's not always going to happen to somebody else. You might be somebody else. I can't change that. Like they used to say to old Vietnam guys, the rule is, I hate it, somebody's got to walk the park. Right? Same thing in law enforcement. But here's the deal, y'all. 10 miles that way, 10 miles this way, where this happened. Are we supposed to expect all these officers everywhere to just forget that happened? How can I? Over 150 times last year they went to Walmart for shoplifting. It could be any one of those, right? So, and there's nothing I can do to change that. That's going to be in their minds. Police officer deaths. Now, this number is actually down from 2018. It was 163. In 2018, that number's down. That's a good thing. I'm happy. I'm grateful for that. Here's a number that we don't talk to y'all about, but that we pay attention to. 228 officers died by their own hand last year. Average age of 42. Average length of service is 16 years. That has got to change. The top number went down. The bottom number went up 63. It's got to change. We got to be willing to talk about it, right? The days of saying, oh, boy, you'll be all right, suck it up. Days are over. Days are over. No, that's nationwide. Now, here's the thing. I believe, and a lot of other people that track this, I think that number's low. Why? You gonna tell me in some small community that it didn't get written up different? Come on now, I mean, we're all grown in here, right? You know what it did to save the family embarrassment? You know what it did? That number's high. The number's not quite that high for firefighters, but it's still alarmingly high. The state of Georgia has gotten way ahead of almost every other state except South Carolina. I don't know why they were leading the nation, but they were. They have created in the state now the Office of Public Safety Support. And it is funded and staffed. They have psychologists, they have counselors, they have cops, they have all these people that are available 24 hours a day to talk to our people. And that's a good step. That's a good step. But we've got to be able to be brave enough, not just out here in the street, but in headquarters to say, Kyle, I know you're struggling, but tell me what's going on. I protect something for you. That's a hard conversation, isn't it? It's a hard conversation. And nobody really wants to talk about it. We talked about the PTSD earlier. That's a mental issue. No police officer wants to admit, I've got a mental health issue. Nobody in this room does, right? So that's what we really got to work hard on that. All right, this last video I'm gonna show, I'm going to wrap up here. How many of y'all remember who Paul Harvey was? We've been to see how old everybody is. Right? All right, so if you don't know, Paul Harvey was for many, many years a columnist. He had a radio show. He was on the nightly news, and he gave narrations. Well, the one I'm going to show you here is called The Policeman. Paul Harvey wrote this and published it in 1970. But as you listen to it, look how much has not changed in 50 years. Go ahead.
Policeman. A policeman is a composite of what all men are, I guess, a mingling of saint and sinner, dust and deity. What that really means is that they are exceptional, they are unusual, they are not commonplace. Buried under the froth is the fact, and the fact is that less than 0.5% of policemen misfit that uniform, and that is a better average than you'd find among clergymen. What is a policeman? He of all men is at once the most needed and the most wanted, a strangely nameless creature who is sir to his face and pig or worse behind his back. He must be such a diplomat that he can settle differences between individuals so that each will think he won, but if a policeman is neat, he's conceited. If he's careless, he's a bum. If he's pleasant, he's a flirt. If he's not, he's a grouch. He must make instant decisions which would require months for a lawyer, but if he hurries, he's careless. If he's deliberate, he's lazy. He must be first to an accident, infallible with a diagnosis. He must be able to start breathing, stop bleeding, tie splints, and above all, be sure the victim goes home without a limp. The police officer must know every gun, draw on the run, and hit where it doesn't hurt. He must be able to whip two men twice his size and half his age without damaging his uniform and without being brutal. If you hit him, he's a coward. If he hits you, he's a bully. The policeman from a single human hair must be able to describe the crime, the weapon, the criminal, and tell you where the criminal is hiding, but if he catches the criminal, he's lucky. If he doesn't, he's a dunce. He runs files and writes reports until his eyes ache to build a case against some felon who will get dealed out by a shameless Seamus. The policeman must be a minister, a social worker, a diplomat, a tough guy, and a gentleman. And of course he'll have to be a genius because he'll have to feed a family on a policeman's salary.
All right, so when Paul Harvey did his narrations, again, y'all remember it. What was the last line at the end? And now what? The rest of the story. So now the rest of the story about Paul Harvey. His father was a police officer, and when Paul Harvey was 3 years old, he was shot and killed. That's the rest of the story. So I'm gonna wrap this up with this. Our pledge is you love us or hate us, praise us or curse us. I assure you, we will always come to you. I don't care if you like me or don't like me. And if it means that we have to sacrifice our own lives to protect yours, your children's, your friends, your family members. That's what we're going to do. That's how we're built. The good Lord reached down and touched us on the top of the head and said, "You're the holiness." When the wolves are at your door, and God forbid that ever happens to you, we're coming. As hard as we can come. And when we get there, we're just gonna have one thing to say. Not today. Not on my life. And that's all I got. Thank y'all.
Hey, can you just stay up here for Candy Lowry, can you come up? That's fix quiet real quick. Very. They sacrifice just as much. They sacrifice.
Wow, now was that worth it or what? We laughed, we cried, we came together as a community, standing ovation. I am so proud to be public safety chairman, not just for the police, but the fire as well. You do an outstanding job. That's all I have.
Thank you so much, Jay Bowman. Now I'm gonna go ahead and call, Councilmember, Bill DeVaul. We're gonna go ahead and do the, Loganville Development Authority oath.
Sure.
Go ahead, sir.
Sure, I'd just like to say something about, Mayor, I need to make an appointment for the LEA, and, while I was on the campaign trail this year, I met a lot of people, a lot of good people. There was certainly, someone that made quite an impression on me, and, his name is, Rick Stepp. Rick and his wife Teresa lived here in Loganville for 15 years, and, he's has a litigation practice in Lawrenceville with his son Zach. He's been a lawyer in Gwinnett County for over 25 years. Teresa is also a registered nurse with Piedmont Hospital. And they have a daughter that's a school teacher. That's, of course, affects my heart as well because I have both police officers and teachers in my family. And I think Rick was going to be a good addition. And Mayor, if I can, I'd like to let's bring Rick up.
Let's do it. Thank you. Glenn Richards, yep, is that his name? There you go. I, Rick Stepp, solemnly swear or affirm that I will, in all respects, observe the provisions of the Constitution of the United States of America, the state of Georgia, the charter and ordinances of the city of Loganville, and I will faithfully discharge the duties as a board member of the Loganville Development Authority. So help me God. Congratulations. Again, congratulations. We're going to come down and start with our committee department reports, starting with planning and development. Chairwoman Lisa Newberry.
Thank you, Mayor. Tonight, we've got 6 cases to approve, and the first one we'll start off with, is case number A-19016. The applicant is Marson Holdings, the property owner is Marson Holdings. The map and parcel is C004-001-0500. The address is 4550 Tuck Road. The acreage is 4.202. The zoning is B3. And I'd like to ask for a motion that we approve annexation with the conditions of right out and left in. Make a motion.
Okay, so we have a motion. We have a second. Any discussion on this? Any discussion from the audience? So, all right, so all approved, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign.
Okay, our second case is a request for zoning. Is case number R-19-017. The applicant is Marson Holdings. The property owner is Marson Holdings. The map and parcel is C004-001-0500. The address is 4550 Tuck Road. The acreage is 4.202. The present zoning is B3. They're requesting to change it to CH. And I'll ask for a motion to approve the rezone with the conditions of right out and left in.
So
We have a
moved.
motion on the floor.
So moved.
We have a second. Is there? Second. So all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. Is the gentleman here from Marshall, from, okay. You want to ask him to say anything, or we're good?
If you'd like to.
Well, when the county approved the, I need to go here.
That's it, yeah. Go.
When the county approved this, it was more for trucks, the issue was, we were about big trucks traveling through neighborhoods. They were worried about trucks traveling through the neighborhoods, through the residential neighborhoods, and you can see signs on Old Loganville saying no truck traffic and all that. So we all came to an agreement and said, okay, trucks make a right turn only out of there. Notice they can only come in that way and go out that way. But there are people that live in the neighborhoods that might work in that subdivision, that car traffic shouldn't be the issue, it should be truck traffic. Is what was happening in Walton County, and they approved it. So I don't know what happened with changing from total traffic only going one direction, but it should be trucks. You know, large trucks, not a van, or not a car, a passenger car.
Okay.
Tim, are you trucks, is that correct?
The discussion Monday night and, the discussion at the planning commission meeting did not specify between it was smaller vehicles or larger vehicles. If y'all would like to do just the larger vehicles, you would need to go back to the 2 previous cases and redo them as far as the condition goes.
And do you mind me asking what your name is, sir?
Mark Striper.
Okay. And who was the gentleman that's here on Monday night that spoke?
Oh,
Okay.
gentlemen.
My name is David Bailey, and we live on, actually what turns into Tom Brooks Road, Tough Road, turns into Tom Brooks Road. But, my understanding when the county was strict all traffic, I don't think it's specified when the county did it. But the problem is if you don't fix it where it blocks all traffic, then, you go out there now and you see no truck traffic, but they ignore those signs. So if you just put signage up, they'll turn whichever way. So if you leave it open for cars, the trucks are gonna take the same route, and it's a constant problem.
And I believe it was discussed that I'm not sure the verbiage, the concrete, the median, the in and out would be fixed, so your right turn out only for everybody, left turn in only.
Correct.
Okay, so does anyone on the council want to revisit this, or should we continue?
I think we should continue.
I'm not really sure what the objection is, or why we need to do that.
The objection is, I think what the gentleman is asking for is to allow only trucks to turn right out, left in, allow passenger vehicles to turn left out. Safety. It's okay for the vehicles to drive through the neighborhood, they prefer not to have trucks.
Big trucks.
Big trucks, LTF.
So if we make it a right only, I have no objection to it, if we make it a right only, where do the trucks turn around?
They go out to 20 and turn left or right. They don't come in from Old Loganville to Tuck Road.
Someone who lives in one of those neighborhoods over there would have to go to 20, turn left, go to 78, turn left, go to Loganville, turn left, and come back to their subdivision on Old Loganville Road again. It's just puts a lot of traffic on 20 that maybe doesn't have to, there's not that many cars there. We have other businesses on Tuck Road.
Tim,
There's a lot of car traffic on Tuck Road.
what did the planning commission approve? What are they in favor of?
They did not specify between passenger vehicles and transfer trucks.
And what was discussed on Monday night was what this gentleman here said, it was just, all vehicles, is what we decided.
I think we should just leave it that one tonight.
Okay, everybody good with that?
I think that, isn't that good? Okay,
Right out, left lane for all.
yes. Thank you.
Did we make a motion to approve that or? Okay, so we'll start with case number 19-018, request for annexation. The applicant owner is Uprise Development. The property owner is Uprise Development. The map of parcel is C004009G. The address is 4550 Chuck Road. The acreage is 5.263. The present zoning is B. And I would like to make a motion that we approve annexation with the conditions of right out, left in, all vehicles.
We have a motion. We have a second. Any discussion on this topic? Any discussion from the audience on this? So all in favor, signify by saying aye. All opposed, like sign. Okay.
Okay, next we have a request for rezoning, application number R 19-019. The applicant is Uprise Development, the property owner is Uprise Development. The map and parcel is C004009G. The address is 4550 Tuck Road. The present zoning is B3, the requested rezoning is CH, and the acreage is 5.263. And I'd like to make a motion that we rezone with the conditions of right out, left in, all vehicles.
We have a motion. We have a second. Any discussion on this topic? Any discussion from the audience? Oh, go ahead.
I'm just not clear, are you talking Tuck off of Old Loganville Highway? My subdivision is right there, so I'm trying to understand what you're saying. You won't no longer be able to turn on Tuck Road?
Is that correct, Tim?
No.
Can you answer the question?
Cal, do you have the map? What's
These three properties are located behind East Side Towing. And the applicants want to do a office warehouse complex. So the traffic going in and out of that complex would be right in, or left in, right out of it. It wouldn't be for Tuck Road, it would just be going into that complex.
Okay.
And the purpose is to keep the large 53-foot trailer trucks out of the residential area.
Okay.
Are you good, ma'am?
Yep,
Okay.
thank you.
Any other questions?
So they come in off of 20 and they go back out on 20, right?
That's
Correct.
correct. Yes, yes. All right, so we have a motion, we have a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Pass.
Okay, the next one is application A 19-014. The applicant is Uprise Development. The property owner is H.O. Brooks. The map and parcel is C004009. The address is 4550 Tuck Road. The acreage is 2.174, and the present zoning is B3. And I'd like to make a motion that we approve annexation with the conditions of right out, left in.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any discussion on it? Any discussion from the board? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. Ayes, it passes.
Okay, the last case we have is a request for zoning, case number R 19-015. The applicant is Uprise Development, the property owner is O.H. Brooks. The map of parcel is C004-009. The address is 4550 Tuck Road. The acreage is 2.174. The present zoning is B3. The requested zoning is CH. And I'd like to make a motion that we approve rezone with the conditions of right out, left in,
For all of you.
for all vehicles.
All right, so we have a motion, we have a second. Any discussion on this? Any discussion from the audience on this? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. It passed.
Okay, thank you, Mayor, that's all I have.
Thank you so much, Chairman Lisa Newberry. Coming down to finance, Human Resources, Chairwoman Ann Hudson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for having me on consent. So I have nothing, but I'd like to say happy Valentine's Day to everybody.
Absolutely. Happy Valentine's to you. I tell you, great day tomorrow. We're all wearing red, and I appreciate that. Let's love each other. Let's just hug each other tomorrow. Tomorrow's one of my favorite days, right? Thank you. Thanks, Ann. That's all you got. Now we're coming down to Public Safety Committee, Chairman Dable.
Thank you, Mayor. We handled it earlier tonight with a fantastic presentation.
Great presentation, great presentation. All right, coming down to Public Utilities / Transportation, Chairman Loganville.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I've got a few items. First one is, the department wants to purchase a camera head. It's a local camera head. It fits on, my camera that goes through and inspects, sewer and stormwater. The current camera head is no longer works. We need to replace this. It costs $22,000. It is a budget item, and, with that, I move that we, make a motion to approve it.
To approve it. Absolutely. Good job, Bill. All right, so we have a motion for the approval.
Second.
We have a second. Any other discussion on this topic? Any discussion out there in the audience? All right, all in favor, signify by saying aye. All opposed, like sign. It's been approved, sir.
Thank you. Second item is, we have a request to purchase a 2024 Explorer to replace a 2005 Trailblazer, the Chevy Trailblazer that had over 223,000 miles. The maintenance on it is to the point where it cannot be maintained. We have a bid on it for $30,000 on a state contract, $30,331, and with that, Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to, it's a budget item as well.
All right, so we have a motion. Now, this is for public utilities, is that correct? Okay, this is Chris Yancey's department. So we have a motion, we have a second. We talked about this on Monday, by the way, during our work session. Any more discussion on it right here? Any discussion from the audience? All right, all in favor, signify by saying aye. All opposed, like sign. It's been passed, sir.
Thank you. So we have an item that was added to the agenda tonight, Mr. Mayor. So Walton County is going out to bid for some safety features of contract, and reached out to the cities, and we want to participate in that. This is for striping and other safety features for our roads in the city. We've got approximately 2.6 miles of striping proposed in it. What Danny needs is, we need to give him authority to negotiate up to not to exceed $100,000. Once Walton County gets the bid, and we'll use Walton County SPOS for these projects. Is that?
For the record, we've been working on this for quite some time. Unfortunately, the chairman of Walton County decided to piggyback off their pricing, so all cities in the county can get a better pricing than per linear foot. So we got 2.6 miles. We're looking at Bay Creek Road from State Route 20 to local city limits. C.S. Floyd Road from State Route 20 to US 78. Logan Drive, C.S. Floyd to Highway 78. Leeburg Road from Highway 81 to Highway 78, and then we added another one this past few weeks, intersection from Tommy Lee Fuller to Highway 78 on 20 with a do not block the intersection for Tommy Lee Fuller. We went back and forth with GDOT denying us. Thanks to Mr. Councilman Duval, he got involved and was able to help facilitate GDOT and get approved. So We have to still submit a permit, encroachment permits through GDOT, but we think, we're confident we can get that for them. So this is money gonna be well spent for safety features. As you know, these intersections have not been restriped in a long time, so hopefully the public can see that we use this blocks, when we make the projects. So,
This is, monies that we passed last year on the, Walton County SPLOST, and a lot of it is going to, transportation here in Loganville, so I'm excited about that. And by the way, thank you so much, Bill, for what you did. Great job.
So with that, I'd like to make a motion to, present this authorization for Amy.
Absolutely. We have a motion. We have a second. Any discussion on it? Any discussion from the audience on this topic? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Pass, sir.
Sure, and just one quick thing, so I appreciate Emily Roberts, set up a meeting with, our city engineer, last week, I guess, last Thursday, Friday, something, so we could sit down and go through, so kind of bring me up to speed on some of the transportation projects and other utility projects we have going on, so, thanks again, Danny.
Thank you.
Anyway, that's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
All right. Thank you so much, Chairman Bill DeValle. Coming down to Public Works / Facilities, Chairwoman Linda Dodd.
Just to update that Dan brought up maybe tonight, we have an abatement to tear down the building on Main Street, 254 and 248 Main Street, and also 190 Covington. This has already been approved, and we don't know when it's gonna start, but we're hoping it's gonna be sometime this month.
just to clarify, this is abatement, not tear down yet.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We gotta abate it first,
Sorry.
then tear it down.
Sorry. I don't even.
There's no motion, it was approved in the December 14th, 2017 council meeting. This is more of an update that we're doing. So everybody in the public knows, not for what we're here for.
That's all I have.
Thank you so much, Chairwoman Linda Dodd. Coming down to Economic Development, Chairman Danny Ford, he is not here. Do we have any updates on Danny Ford, Chairman?
No, he's on vacation, had to go see his grandkids and daughter in Kentucky, but he'll be back tomorrow, but he has no updates. They were on consent for the concert and the fireworks for 2020, and would love to bring Robbie up, but he'd probably hit me if I did that. But yes, we're all good, it's on consent. We got a lot of concerts this year and looking forward to great events.
Great.
Please, all the participation we have tonight, please come to the concerts. Thank you.
You gotta come. You gotta come opening day, which is May 15th. Swinging the Downs are gonna be in town, by the way. I'm looking forward to it. All right, coming down to City Manager Report, Danny Roberts.
Thank you, Mayor, good evening, Mayor and Council. I want to table this, after speaking with Ms. Webb, she has some strong issues about the contract that she read. So we're gonna go back to the vendor and get some language taken out, or if they don't, then we won't use them. So I wanna table this until next month, if that's okay with y'all.
You gotta make a motion on that.
Yes.
All right.
Make a motion to table the municipal budget.
We have a motion. We have a second. Any discussion on this? Any discussion from the audience about this topic? All right. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Okay.
Thank you.
That's it.
all I have.
All right, and we're coming down to City Attorney Robin Webb. Any updates on Robin?
We have no updates.
All right. Like I said, I'm gonna be making a motion to close the business, but we will be right back, Danny, 5 minutes or so, less than that, maybe, hopefully.
Speak pretty fast.
All right, he's gonna speak, real quick. With that being said, can I have a motion to close the open session to enter into executive session to decide, to discuss real estate matters? We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. All right, we'll be back.
They said it's orange. You got it.
motion to get back into regular session. We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. All right, we're back into regular session and nothing was to report, nothing to report. All right, I want you guys to please pray for an employee that was injured at home this evening. So I want you to please keep your prayers up for him. So, all right, so I'm gonna ask for a motion to adjourn. We have a motion. We have a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. All right, the meeting has been adjourned. All right, I've got a couple of personal news real quick, and now this is your time. This is your community feedback. I am gonna ask for a few things real quick, 3 minutes, and I think that's plenty of time. Ask your questions, concerns or what have you. State your name, and also for the record, and state where you live, basically, so we can know where you guys live, okay? With that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and go first real quick. I've got some good news. I really have some good news. For a while, for a long time now, early voting, and we got a candidate here that's running, and I'm gonna ask him to introduce himself whenever he wants, okay? But for a long time, early voting elections have been held at the Walton Municipal Association, Walton Municipal Building in Monroe. So people in Loganville have to drive to Monroe for early voting. Not anymore. Not anymore. Now, advanced voting, I'll tell you, we worked hard on this. Me and our city clerk and our folks worked hard on this. Advanced voting will begin in Meridian Park. Meridian Park on March 2nd and will run for 3 weeks until March the 20th. Okay? The time for voting will be from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Huge. Now we got a voting precinct right next door to us. That is great news for us because I'm all about voting. Also, there will be one Saturday voting during the 3-week period, which will be March 14th. Okay? So if you guys have any questions, contact me. I'm working alongside with Lori Wood, which she's a board member. She's a chair member of the Walton County Board of Elections, and also the office staff, the directors, Jenny Phillips. But this is great news for our community. You don't have to drive all the way to Monroe to vote. They're right here in your backyard. With that being said, one more thing. Yes, ma'am. Dates again. Advanced voting will be held at Meridian Park, okay, on March 2nd, and will run for 3 weeks thereafter until March 20th. Okay, the times for voting will be from 9 a.m. until 4 p.m. And the Saturday time for voting will be March 14th, okay? Okay, so let us know on that. We worked hard on that, and I'm glad that the folks in Walton County were able to partner up with us on that. As you know, real quick, we had the yes, go ahead.
Just one question regarding what you were just speaking of. When was that arrangement finalized for the city to have an early voting location?
When it was the mail was February, just recently.
The reason I'm asking is I'm going to be working as a poll worker through several voting times this year, and the only information my wife and I had when we were contacted was going to be in Monroe, as you were saying. So I'm wondering if we may end up here, which you can't, of course, answer, but that helps me know why we didn't hear about it.
Yeah, check with Lori Wood. The only thing that I worked along with Lori Wood, which she's a chairperson for that, and also Betsy Rain, assistant chairman, and Jenny Phillips, and they've got it worked out. We partnered up with them, so check with them on that. As far as I know, I got the email here from them, and it's been approved. They're telling me it's a done deal. So, like I said, I'm excited about that. What's your name, sir?
Joseph Shields.
Joseph Shields.
Now, Christy, is that for the city election?
No.
That's the
County election? Okay, thank you very much.
By the way, we don't have city elections this year. Loganville does not have city elections. We have county, we have congressional, and we have, as you know, president. So, a huge year this year. Any other questions? As you know, the lady that did the opening prayer was Pastor Wendy Jones from Orchard Church, Highway 81. You know my thing, keep our city clean. And let me tell you, we've gotten a lot of folks telling me our city's looking clean, but I'm not done yet. So we are partner up, the city's partner up with Orchard Church, Pastor Wendy Jones, on March the 7th. I want you all to come out. You want your city clean? Where's Pat Pippin? Pat, I'm after Tommy D. Fuller. Tommy D. Fuller keeps behind the Eagles. I get it all the time from Pat Pippin. I want Tommy D. Fuller, and it's looking a lot cleaner, but it seems like after 3 weeks, it goes down. But we're going to partner up with them, and March 7th on Saturday, we're going to muster up here to keep our city clean. And that is all I got. Your time. Yes.
I want to go first.
Yeah.
I want to say something good. Walker County Special Olympics has just been, we've been so busy and we've had so much fun and we've worked very hard. The spaghetti supper turned out wonderful, and I want to say a special thank you tonight to a lot of people that are sitting in here that were working that night. And also I want to say, Mr. Bill there having dinner. Lisa worked the whole time and did a lot of sweating. And good mayor came and got dinner for him and his wife and visited with the people there. Mr. Boland sent his mother-in-law to do his share. And all these people, Lee and Michael were there. And then the very next, on Friday, we had basketball for all of our kids, and we have had 240 Walton County special children that were at Meridian Park. I might just cry when I say this. That's one of the most exciting things you'll ever see when you see our children. So if you've never been to an event with us, please come, because we do several during the year. I know a lot of you want to talk, but I want to talk right now because I'm going to brag on my children. Also, for the day of basketball, a lot of the same people were there working that day. The Ladies Women's Club in Loganville, you just wouldn't believe how many people came to help with that. Christy and Gracie both came, and we put them to work too. Everybody works. Lisa also helped with that. And listen, guys, we love to have all these people come into all these meetings for the city, but we'd like to have some more volunteers for Special Olympics. So anytime you want my email, I'll give it to you, or my telephone number, because we'd love to have you help. Thank you, and thank you to the city of Loganville, because they have always supported us. I will say it. And this Loganville Police Department has kept us alive, believe me, with the donut dash. And you won't find a better police department in the whole state of Georgia than a Loganville Police Department.
Thank you so much, Janice. That dinner was awesome, and she does a lot of stuff throughout the year for the city of Loganville. Anybody else? Oh, we got
something.
Yes, ma'am, please.
Good evening, I'm Kathleen Fouts. I've been a resident of Loganville for 23 of my 25 years, and I'm now raising my only child here. I'd first like to start by thanking the council for providing an open and unbiased space for us to speak our concerns and opinions, because that common courtesy is something that has not otherwise been afforded to many, because those seeking to discuss the ongoings of the community via other avenues don't seem to understand the way democracy actually works. I, for one, am actually in support of the revitalization of our otherwise lackluster downtown atmosphere, and I'm not alone. Those of us who are excited to see what happens next will leave whether that includes 800 apartments or not to the experts, of which I do not pretend to be one. So far, the majority of the arguments I've heard against any proposed developments in town have translated to a select few of the community wishing to make Loganville as inhospitable to outsiders and otherness as possible. Growing up here, I realized my community, while tight-knit, was lacking certain things. One of those things was diversity and, honestly, culture. Another thing was really many eventful things or worthwhile things to do in town, especially as a young creative child. We either had to drive at least 20 minutes to find something to entertain us or find other ways to occupy our time. And because of the lack of stimulating community events and venues, I honestly can't tell you how many of my fellow Loganville classmates have fallen into rampant drug use, domestic violence, teen pregnancy, and other less than desirable situations. These are the unfortunate realities of growing up in a stagnant small town. Many people worry about crime coming with development, and it makes me wonder how many blind eyes have been turned to the issues we have always faced as a community. If we don't revitalize our town now, there will be yet another young generation that falls victim to the very same issues. And trust me, it won't be because they laid eyes on an apartment complex or two. As the mother of a 3-year-old, obviously I have the future at the forefront of my mind at all times, and I'm ecstatic that this proposed development could mean her growing up in a town that has ample green space, a library I can actually get in and out of, restaurants that offer more wholesome options, and places for her new friends and classmates to live, all within walking distance. I would love nothing more than to be able to take my daughter downtown to enjoy a day together, but as it is, our options are more or less limited to haircuts and antiques. I'd like to thank the council again for all that you have done and will continue to do to make Loganville's Main Street a functional destination and not the remnants of an overly romanticized past. I also commend you all for the way that you've handled opposition to your diligent efforts and unwarranted and inflammatory accusations. Thank you.
Anybody else? Yes.
Greetings, Mayor, City Council members, and Loganville residents. My name is Tricia Elliott. My family and I have been Loganville residents for 22.5 years. Our daughters grew up here since they were 3 and 5 years old. We have experienced an explosion of traffic over the past 5 years. Population in Loganville has increased beyond my personal preference, but that's okay. I can live with this increase, however, I don't think our roads can. They've not been designed, redesigned, or widened to accommodate the population we currently have. Can our schools accommodate hundreds or thousands more? Can our first responders deal with the volume of calls that will inevitably rise? I stand before you today on behalf of my family, expressing concerns and displeasure over Connolly's proposed development. Are we against development on Main Street? Absolutely not. Are we against Connolly's development? Absolutely yes. One of the reasons I have learned to ask myself while making decisions, one of the questions I have learned to ask myself while making decisions, is this reasonable? It's not always a question of right or wrong, but is it reasonable? I have also learned that boredom is the devil's workshop. Our community needs a rec center, not only for youth, but for everyone. How does Connolly's proposal help our youth? A dog park is an excellent idea without 800 apartments. The enjoyment a dog park brings is for all to embrace, even our elderly who may not be able to enjoy physical activities as they once did. Is Connolly's proposed development reasonable? No. It's not only unreasonable, it's behemoth, defined as any creature or thing of monstrous size or power. I have printed a paper simulation of this behemoth. Each page reflects an approximate 100 units. I have 8 pages before you, thereby reflecting 800 units. Are these units, and these units are built on the ground, not above retail shops. I cannot begin to fathom what a huge monstrosity Connolly is proposing. There are 195 acres of land for sale on Highway 78. No, it's not within Loganville city limits, but that is irrelevant because commuters will drive on our small town roads. Let us also remember soon to be development down Highway 78 by Wilbrook Drive, along with available land for development on State Road 81, rumors of rezoning land for apartments on Tommy Lee Fuller, as well as numerous parcels of land for sale and potential apartments which accommodate more people than single-family dwellings or condominiums, all of which have yet to be factored into our community, not including Connolly's behemoth proposal. So I ask you, is Connolly's proposal reasonable, especially when you consider our antiquated roads? No, it is not. Do I desire development on Main Street? Yes, to include our historical buildings. I would even love reasonable retail. Walmart excluded, there's not a shoe store in sight. Please, no more tire stores or nail salons, but I digress. Once again, I present before you a tiny simulation of what 800 units looks like. Connolly's development might be desired in Brookhaven, but not here. So I conclude by asking you this question: is this development reasonable? Thank you for your time.
Terry Parsons. You know, as much as y'all may not like social media, it is credited for the fine people that showed up here tonight to express their concerns about this development. And I think that speaks a lot to how much the people care like myself. As y'all know already, I oppose this development primarily because of the apartment to business ratio. It is developed primarily for the apartments to service the business. It doesn't address what I, as a citizen, can enjoy, because its focus, from Conley's own words, is that in order for that 90,000 square feet to work, we gotta have 800 apartments. Now, I really appreciate what you said about how you're in support of development. I'm in support of development too, but I don't want your child to grow up and only be able to live in a stack of receipts in a shoebox. I'd rather them put down roots. I'd rather them have a house. Yeah. I want them to have. And I think we should look at that. And I think it would be great if Conley would respond accordingly and say, hey, there are developments around here that are like that. Norcross has some really nice condos. When they redevelop their city, they got a great city hall, great library. You go down through there, those houses, those people live there. They're not temporary residents, they're not stopping. And despite what others might say about the young people with their student debt, how are they going to get out of debt if all they can do is barely afford to pay rent? We need to look at long-term investment solutions for our city. Thank you very much.
For a lot of growing my setup, I'm sorry. First of all, I want to thank you guys for this platform. My name is Jessica Lee. I also have met by Jay to a lot of folks. And I want to thank you guys for this platform and also the police for that presentation earlier. It was beautiful. And also congratulations to whoever got elected into the chair or whatever. I'm sorry, I'm bad with names. I'm really sorry. So first off, I want to say I've been living here for 27 years my whole life, basically. I was born and raised here. I'm a graduate of Loganville High School. I also graduated from the top of my class. That being said, all of my other classmates who also graduated in the top of their class no longer live in Loganville. I am one of the last remaining few. And I think that speaks volumes to these, where they're living now, that maybe apartments aren't that bad of a thing. These people are making a ton of money. That all being said, I'm not saying 800 apartments is a good thing. I'm just saying apartments really aren't that bad of a thing. These are people who are really the future of the United States, not just our city. They're they're lawyers, they're doctors, they're these people, and they're living in Atlanta in apartments, renters, and they have been there for years. They're paying taxes in that city. They're paying instead of where they were growing up. And so basically, I just want to keep Loganville a beautiful place, yes, but I also want it to progress. I want Loganville to be something for everybody, not just my generation, not just your generation, but something that future generations can not only grow on, but even grow even further and better themselves and their community. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Jessica. Go ahead. There we go.
My name is Joseph Shields. I live in the villas, therefore in the city. I do vote. However, I'm not going to address is the development a good thing or a bad thing. I wish to address what the gentleman was appearing to say a moment ago when he seemed to be saying that there shouldn't be any apartments. If I misunderstood you, my friend, I apologize. However, I moved into Loganville in 2011, and at that time, I was working 3 hours away. I worked for 6 years as a chaplain in an ICE detention center south of Fort Benning, which is at Columbus, Georgia. To work there, commute was impossible. So I had to rent. There would have been no sense in my buying in Columbus. My wife was here. I still live here. I'm not working there any longer. Next month, I say 75 years. It was time to think about retiring. However, my entire statement is that apartments, rental locations can be essential for some. Students are one example. raised a few minutes ago. Those whose work necessarily is time limited because of its nature. And I'm sure there's several other blanks that could be filled in there. It has been my personal sorrowful observation for years that the downtown Main Street strip was as it currently is. I have hoped that there would be something, and I could not define the something, that would make it a living looking city again. As it is, our commercial district right now is out on the highway, by and large. It'd be nice to see, however it happens, the main street truly be the main street. Thank you.
My name's Pam Hardy. I've only been here since 1972. So I've kind of seen it grow throughout the years, where it's good and where it's bad. And I think what makes sense to me is common sense, reasonable. So I think that we need to have an approach that says we need green space. We need a rec center, something where people can actually go and do something. A few apartments are a great idea. A few homes, but something that 800 to 1,000 anything is not a common sense approach. It's like we'd sell our soul for 90,000 retail space. That's what I feel like. But there are a lot of towns that have done a really great job on having a combination of condos, homes, apartments that make common sense. And I think we moved here again 20 years ago. I don't want to move again. We moved away from all this 20 years ago. And I feel like now maybe I made the wrong decision by not going to Monroe to begin with, or further down. So please, just vote your conscience and your common sense and reasonable. I think everybody said that. Please be reasonable with these developments. And 800 or 600 is just not reasonable. I don't want to walk down that road or ride down and see nothing but apartments this, 4 stories high on every corner. I want to see a town that feels like home. Feels like our home.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. My name's Tammy Smith. I live in the Toller Shoals subdivision, so I'm about a little over a mile away from here. When I first heard the proposal in December, it looked a little appealing to me, but I didn't like the idea of the apartments and the volume of them. The more I have learned, the more I have researched and talked with friends and business associates and things, I have come to really think it's not a good idea at all. Maybe there's another developer out there. A couple of things that I checked on. I have a friend that's a developer that works with a large company in Atlanta. Shot holes in a lot of the things that Conley had said to us, and I won't go into detail now for sake of time. But I did check into, I just called the DOT planning. I was curious because I have to drive through this intersection, every day. And I asked them about a 5-year and a 10-year plan for traffic and development in Loganville. Here was my answer. This was from Betty Nix at the Department of Transportation. After checking with my supervisor, it appears that there are no significant projects in this area. I asked her from anything from with a mile from the 20 and 78 intersection, either direction encompassing the downtown area. She said there is a resurfacing project on either 10 or 20, but no major changes. He suggested if you check with your county planning office and see if there's something in the works that they might know about. So it looks like there are no plans to accommodate the traffic that it's going to bring in. I have 2 daughters, 25 and 27, yet they are renters where they live right now, with the goal of home ownership eventually. Something that would accommodate them I wouldn't feel comfortable with them living in a space of 900 apartments, 800 apartments, whatever it is. But what I did find when I visited one of them where they are is they were renting a townhouse in a town in North Carolina, had a beautiful green space. Greenways, I was able to, I'm a walker and a runner. I was able to go out of her house and walk a quarter of a mile and get onto a greenway and be able to run a couple of miles, be able to walk my dogs, things like that. I can't do that, and I couldn't enjoy this space from where I live to walk up here because I couldn't cross 78 to get here. So that my concerns are of the traffic and the accessibility to us as current residents. Thank you.
Whole family?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
My name is Jennifer Fields. We live on Tucker Meadows. Jennifer Fields.
Jennifer.
Okay, my concern, we don't want the apartments. There's plenty of space that has already been cleared, that they came in and took all the wood for, that they have space that they could build on 78 down by Trinity Prep. They can build houses there. You have an invested interest when you live there, when you have a home, when you have something that is yours. You have an invested, apartments are not it. When you live in an apartment, you are concerned about your apartment, you are concerned about getting there and going there, and you're not concerned about who lives around you or anything. And like the police officer said tonight in the demonstration, if they can't hire police officers for who they have right now, how are they gonna do it? My future is this boy. This is mine. He's 11. He's what I came out to Loganville for, to get away from everybody, to have a space. We used to go to the Autumn Fest, but I don't think you'll even do that anymore. You do? We used to walk down Main Street on Autumn Fest. We used to watch the fireworks that they had at the Cross, which is now the Cross, but I mean, we used to do everything here, but there's nothing here in Loganville. There's no ice cream shops, there's no pools, there's nothing that our kids can go and learn basic skills. They have to go to Lawrenceville to go to the pool. A splash pad's not gonna work, and you can't swim in splash pads. I mean, it's, you just go play in the water. But our concerns is the police, the law enforcement, they're not gonna become, they're gonna be reactionary because of all the people. They're not gonna have the same sense.
Solve the crimes, and I spoke to several police officers who said the same thing. They'll be reactionary, and they'll be trying to go from call to call. They won't be able to investigate anything. You guys already said you couldn't hire them, so how are you gonna come up with that many officers that are gonna police 20,000?
Fire department.
And I spoke to the mayor, me and her buddy, and I asked you a simple question. I said, can you guarantee that if you do this, this is gonna help my child's future? And you cannot answer it. You cannot give me a guarantee that that part of the complex is gonna help any kids or this kid's future. And that in itself to me is a no-go.
The Shields, the 4th of July will be June 27th over at West Walton Park. We got a good fireworks display, and then our Autumn Heritage Festival is gonna be held this Saturday, October 17th. So it's gonna be big. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. My name is Paul Smith, and I live in Village Place in the city limits of Loganville. And a couple of facts here in my research. Almost every new apartment complex that has been built in the Atlanta area has always been on a 4-lane road. And you can check into that. The access that we have on the 2-lane road and the little 2-lane road here will be nothing but jam up the traffic flow. And again, the majority of complexes are on 4-lane roads. But this is interesting. In 2019, apartment construction is supposed to slow down because of lack of demand. The apartment construction in 2019, the second year in a row of slowing down. Now this is interesting. This is from Rent Cafe, their website. The Atlanta area is forecasting 10,783 new apartment units. So we're looking at 7% of that. We're a city of just a few thousand people. And so the bottom line is, like a lot of people have said before, we are not against growth. We are against strangulation in our growth. Thank you.
How y'all doing?
Good, sir.
Hey, my name's Craig Peoples. I live in Loganville at Lake Hodges Landing.
I could go on and on about why not to do it as far as the lack of coverage from the police, the traffic, all that. But who in their right mind on here would think 800 apartments in Loganville, Georgia is a good idea? $1,800 for students? What student in Loganville, Georgia could afford $1,800? I have 3 schools. I have 2 at the high school. I have 1 at the elementary school. I've been here a long time. It makes absolutely no sense. And I asked a question to somebody not too long ago. I asked them, hey, do you think a complex with 800 apartments would bring more crime than a neighborhood of $400,000 houses? And you know what they told me? They didn't know which would bring more crime. They thought both of them would bring the same amount of crime. I'm here to tell you, if you do any research at all, if you look at anything, go talk to the chief of police of Gwinnett County, go talk to Atlanta Police Department, go talk to your law enforcement around here. And if you're gonna sit here and you're gonna tell me that you don't think apartments bring more crime, then I'm sorry, the statistics prove otherwise. You can look over and over and over. It's true. You're gonna tell me for how long are we gonna fill 800 apartments here in Loganville, Georgia for $1,800 an apartment? I wanna know what the answers from because y'all are voting. Y'all are voting and the city manager is gonna put it in place. I want to know how you think you're gonna sustain once they have years on them. How are you gonna do that? How are you gonna keep them full? You gonna go Section 8? Are y'all okay with that? I'm not saying there's something wrong with Section 8. I'm just saying in general. At what point is enough enough? I mean, I have kids who are out here driving. I care about their safety. I understand what Paul's saying. The traffic, it's a train wreck out here now. You're gonna add 800 apartments here and you don't think it's gonna do anything to traffic? And you know the answer. Well, wait, what about the law enforcement officers? I understand. They get a call, they're stretched thin now. We just heard the presentation. How are they gonna respond to calls there too? The fire, everything. So, well, I mean, even without the traffic, I'm just curious as how are we gonna sustain it? And then what happens when they're empty? How are you gonna fill it? Just curious. That's a question. I mean, before you vote on it, I would like to hear, the council and the mayor's position on that. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Evelyn Bradford. I am not a resident in the city limits, but I live in unincorporated Loganville. As part of the administrator of this group, I do want to let you guys know that we are not opposed to the revitalization of downtown. We are opposed to the apartments in downtown. What you need to realize is, and what we realize is there's plenty of property within the city limits that's already zoned for apartments, that these 800 units or more that you feel you need to have can be built. Revitalize the downtown with your shops, your restaurants, your green space, your park, your new city hall. That's fine. But keep the apartments out of downtown.
Anybody else? Go. Well, like I said earlier, we have an election coming up. Mr. Bob Stansfield, he is running for Alcoa Judicial Circuit. So Bob's
I'm gonna talk about the microphone if you all can hear me, and I'm gonna try to keep it to 3 minutes. So my name is Robert Stansfield. It begins with an S. On a ballot, it's like a school roster. It's gonna be at the bottom, I can guarantee that. So I'm running for Superior Court Judge. In October, we had 3 races in the Superior Courts. That's all changed. Judge Johnson was not gonna run. He was running for Supreme Court. He's probably running for his seat because the justice at the Supreme Court is retiring early. The governor is making an appointment. Judge Osborne is retiring. He just announced 2 weeks ago that he is also leaving early. The governor is going to make an appointment. Judge Benton announced in October that he likewise was going to not run for election and retire. He's the only race that's left. And I'm running in that race. I've been running in that race since I filed my paperwork with the State Department of the Ethics in October. Judge Benton was a long-term real estate civil lawyer in Walton County and in the circuit for many years before he took to the bench. He's leaving. Judge Osborne did a lot of civil work as well. For 31 years, I've represented businesses, families, and individuals in their business litigation, their real estate litigation, and their general civil litigation. That means I go to court. That means I've represented folks just like you. At the end of this election cycle, it's likely that the majority of the remaining judges will be career prosecutors, which means they've represented the state, they've worked with victims, but they haven't represented your business, they haven't represented your family or individuals with civil problems. At the courts, we have balance, and we need to maintain balance. I'm the candidate with 31 years of experience that can make up for the knowledge and experience that's going to go into retirement when Judge Osborne and Judge Benton retire at the end of their terms. So Stansfield is my name, 31 years practicing law, been married to a special education teacher for 31 years. A shout out for Special Olympics. I've passed a lot of hamburgers out there. And voting day for judges is not March, it is May. So March is the federal primary. Everybody else, the primary date is May 19th. That's important because it's actually a twofer. It's the primary for the partisans, for Republicans, Democrats. That's the primary. Judges are nonpartisan. We don't run with a party. There's a good reason for that. We're running to be everybody judges. We're trying to apply the law equally without party, and we're running to be trial judges. We're not running to be the Supreme Court of the United States. We're running to be a trial judge to make sure that the evidence is coming in legally, to make sure that the procedure is fair. There is no liberal fair or conservative fair where I grew up. There's only fair. So judges are nonpartisan, and their election day is May 19th. You don't come back in November for a judge. May 19th, and I hope there's going to be early voting at the park on May 19th. I surely hope so. It's an important election day.
I won't ask about that. Yes. Yes,
so thank you all for letting me talk. Mr. Mayor, Council, Mr. City Manager.
Anybody else? I see somebody getting up. Is she getting up to? No? Have a good night. Valentine's Day is tomorrow. Thank you.